Tonight, Port Perry police searching for a thief after an alleged break-in at a local hardware store. And a Port Lincoln tuna company joins forces with the city's local Indigenous community.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Port Perry police are hunting for a thief who is believed to have been captured on CCTV, targeting a local hardware shop over the weekend. The business owners are counting their losses, with thousands of dollars worth of items stolen.
An electric lawnmower, pressure washer and barbecue, just some of the items staff believe were stolen early Sunday morning. CCTV catching the alleged suspect fleeing on foot, using a trolley to transport the items.
The container door was ajar and it was quite strange for a Weber box to be just placed down the back, and on further inspection they had noticed that a substantial amount had been stolen.
Staff left to clean up the mess, with the fence surrounding the premises also destroyed.
So we worked all day Sunday, reviewed our CCTV footage.
Owners of this family business are fed up, saying this isn't the first time items have been stolen during an already tough time.
Very disappointing. You know, the way we look at it is it was probably upwards past $5,000 worth of stock, which is essentially wages into the town.
At the moment with COVID, businesses are doing it tough, and to have people out there just stealing, it's unfortunate. That's the times we live in.
Police are calling on the community to come forward with any information.
It can be anonymous if they wish. As I said, we encourage anyone to, if they know anything, to give us a call and try and apprehend this offender.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
An Ernabella man has been caught driving almost 8 times the legal limit at Port Augusta on Saturday afternoon. Just after 12:30, patrols stopped the vehicle on the Air Highway, where the driver recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.394. The 32-year-old man was driving with 5 passengers in the car, including children. He was arrested and charged with a raft of offences. He was bailed to appear in court at a later date. And a female Port Lincoln motorist has lost her licence after allegedly being caught driving more than 4 times the legal limit. Police stopped the BMW just after midnight on Sunday, where it's alleged the 34-year-old returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.205. The driver was issued an immediate loss of licence and had her vehicle impounded. She's expected to appear in court at a later date. An innovative new seafood product will soon be on the shelves at supermarkets, with Australia's first Indigenous fishing brand starting up in Port Lincoln. Fishing icon Stir Group teaming up with the Indigenous community for the new venture.
A new horizon for the seafood capital, with Australia's first Indigenous seafood brand kickstarting in Port Lincoln.
Trying to set up a business for the Indigenous community.
The joint venture between fishing company Steer Group and the Indigenous community will market and sell southern bluefin tuna domestically and internationally under the name Tunarama Steer, the business putting its own Indigenous spin on the brand.
Tunarama, of course, is in Indigenous language is seafood.
The 50-50 joint venture already has fish in the water, with close to 100 tonnes currently being farmed. It's a good start for the company, with the business already worth a lucrative $8 million.
We're using the Steer Group's infrastructure and pens and the offshore areas we're working on, and this is the first year.
The fishing industry is the city's bread and butter, but the Steer Group admits the venture is navigating uncharted waters. It hopes to begin training Indigenous youths in Adelaide, Port Lincoln and online through the Australian Maritime and Fisheries Academy in the coming months.
We're hoping that next year we're going to get a little bit bigger, and there are exciting times ahead.
The first product is expected to hit the shelves in Australia, Japan, China, the United States and Europe in the new year. Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A Broken Hill man is facing a raft of charges, including allegedly driving 100 kilometres over the speed limit. Officers say the incident all started when the offender was kicked out of a local pub.
Just after 11 o'clock on Friday night, security at an Oxide Street licensed premises ejected a 23-year-old local man.
He was intoxicated and he was very inappropriate in his behaviour whilst he was in the premises, so security did escort him and remove him, and he wasn't allowed back.
At midnight, police alleged the man returned in a ute, parking it to face the doors of the venue and revving its engine. Officers were called.
He was revving it quite loudly. We were on our way down when he's decided to do what most commonly is called a burnout, as he left the premises and left a couple of black marks there on the roadway or in the car park as he was leaving.
Inspector Smith says as the 23-year-old turned onto Oxide Street, he's turned off his lights as a police patrol approached.
He drove off at quite a significant speed, and the police that were there on the scene estimate he was doing about 150 in a 50 zone at that time.
Officers later found the man sitting in his car on Argent Street. It's alleged when caught he attempted to hold on to the bull bar of a nearby vehicle, resisting arrest. He returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.13 and was charged with several offences.
Within the vicinity of a licensed premises after being ejected from the premises, he's being charged with burnout offence as well as drive manner dangerous, his drink driving offence, as well as resist arrest.
Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, proposed changes to local electoral boundaries receive a mixed response, and a Wyala Woolworths store giving back to those in need. Welcome back. The Upper Spencer Gulf electorates of Frome, Stewart and Giles could see changes at the next state election. The South Australian Electoral Commission is proposing to split Port Augusta across 2 seats, a move some locals have questioned.
It may be a draft proposal, but electoral boundary shake-ups are already causing a stir. The Commission's plans are currently the talk of the town.
Port Augusta being split in half, it's an insult to Port Augusta. Secondly, the Upper Spencer Gulf cities only have 2 state representations in the state parliament.
The proposed changes would see Port Augusta shared between the seats of Giles and Stewart. Port Augusta's mayor surprised by the idea, saying it would be a first for regional South Australia.
2 people represent us, one in Giles and one in Stewart. It may be an advantage, it may not. We won't know that until we actually experience it, I'm afraid.
However, the member for Frome says it will create confusion among residents.
I think that's an insult to the people of Port Augusta. The western side will go to Giles and the eastern side will be in the new revamped Stewart.
In a statement, current Stewart MP Dan Van Holst Pelican is urging caution, saying the last review's draft ended up being different to the final report. Jeff Brock says he'll run for whichever seat Port Pirie ends up in.
I would not be loyal to the community of Port Pirie if I ran for an electorate outside of my hometown.
Residents are being encouraged to submit their feedback on the changes through the Commission's website.
Put your own submission into the Boundary Commission. I encourage everybody that have thoughts on that to do so.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Wyala Council's new Chief Executive Officer says the city has a bright future ahead of it. Justin Commons was appointed last week and will start the new position in the coming months. He brings more than 20 years of experience in local government and the public health sector to the role.
The council and the region's got a lot of opportunities in the future, and I'm really looking forward to contributing to realising those opportunities.
Mayor Claire McLaughlin says she's delighted by Mr Commons' appointment and is looking forward to working with him in the future. Broken Hill's local movie theatre is about to release its first major blockbuster since the COVID-19 crisis began. Silver City cinema owners are hoping it's a sign more movies will be released in the coming months.
The coronavirus pandemic has had a big impact on the movie industry. All the big Hollywood studios pushing back releases of upcoming feature films. But this weekend, Christopher Nolan's highly anticipated movie Tenet hits the silver screen.
Tenet is not released on streaming. They have faith with the cinemas and the cinema owners, which is great. I'm ecstatic about it.
The release gives the Silver City Cinema hope that other studios will start releasing their delayed movies. Flicks like the new Wonder Woman and James Bond's No Time to Die were supposed to be released months ago.
If Tenet does what they expected to do, then the Wonder Woman 1984 movie, Black Widow and the new James Bond will be released, I feel.
Broken Hill's local cinema reopened in June, getting by with showing recent films like The Lion King to classics like Star Wars. The cinema owner looking at the positives, predicting 2021 will be a big year for movie lovers.
We're going to do our best to help Warner Brothers and other film companies to try and start showing blockbusters again.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
One of Wyala's Woolworths outlets is among the top 3 biggest store donors for this year's SA Feed Appeal. The national initiative is collecting meals and funds to help local charities feed those in need.
Wyala locals digging deep in their pockets, coming together as a community to raise money for those most vulnerable.
The local Woolworths in Wyala and its customers has really got behind the 2020 Feed Appeal in store. So far, they've raised enough to provide more than 1,500 meals to nourish the local South Australian community.
Westland Woolworths shoppers among the 3 biggest donors in South Australia, with their generosity helping provide around 5,000 free meals.
It's amazing from the customers that shop in the store who have really got behind this.
The Feed Appeal reporting a 50% increase in the number of people asking for food relief this year.
The Feed Appeal's mission is to make sure that no Australian goes hungry, and we do that by providing funding grants to local food relief charities.
Customers donate at the checkout, with the funds used to supply cooking equipment and transport for local charities.
The total amount that has been raised just this year alone by Woolworths so far is $350,000.
It's the second year Woolworths has taken on the initiative. They say it's a great way to give back and ensure there's one less hungry person in the world.
To date, we have raised over $6 million, which is equated to more than 12 million meals to nourish local communities around Australia.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Wyala's Wildlife Park reopens to the public. And we'll wrap up the weekend's footy action. Wyala's Wildlife Park is finally reopened after COVID-19 forced its doors to shut to visitors for more than 3 months. It was business as usual behind the scenes though, with limited staff working extra hours to stay afloat.
Saying good morning to their beloved animals. It's all smiles at this local wildlife park, but it hasn't been that way over the past few months. The Air Reptile and Wildlife Park team working overtime to ensure their animals were well cared for during a lengthy shutdown.
It was a very long 3 months, long days, long hours.
Lots of headaches and just lots of time spent trying to feed animals and no time to sort of make progress on any of the new projects.
The pandemic forcing them to lay off staff and close its doors to the public. Vital income that supports the business disappearing overnight.
The income is what sort of keeps everything ticking over and paying the bills. Lack of help. We had a few of our volunteers ceased coming because of the COVID problems as well.
But the last few months hasn't deterred them, with both managers passionate about animals.
It was always a dream, and then when it came up for tender, we thought, why not? Something we'd always discussed.
We have around 500 animals on the park, around probably 450 on display.
With a new wombat on the way, the park encourages locals and visitors to stop by and show their support.
The more support we get from the local community, the better it is. The quicker we can grow, the quicker we can expand and develop the park to be a better asset to the community.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Lincoln's Tunarama Festival has announced its dates for next year, with the iconic event to be held from January 22nd to 24th. It'll be shorter compared to recent years and won't include the parade, fireworks or the Tunarama Ambassador Quest. There had been calls to postpone the event till 2022, but organisers say the show must go on.
It's very important for the community to have something to aim at, and from a tourism and business perspective, Tunarama is a vital economic driver in the Lower Eyre Peninsula.
It's expected to be one of the first festivals to get the green light since the pandemic hit. Turning to the weekend's football, and Lincoln South and ladder leader Tasman played out a close one on Saturday. The Roosters scraping home, holding off a fast-finishing Lincoln South. Nathan Regter has this week's footy wrap.
The Souths are jostling for a place in the finals, so Saturday's match against the undefeated Tasmans would shape up as a litmus test. Kingsley Billney Jr. and Scott Young set the standard early for the Souths, kicking 3 early goals. The Roosters then booted 3 goals of their own, but Souths led at quarter time by a point. Johan Wagner steadied the flow, with Ben Daniels getting himself involved, scoring another 3 goals for the Tassies. By half-time, Tasmans were in the lead by a goal. Souths needed a fast start in the second half, but it was the Roosters that did the damage, a 3-goal-to-2 term giving Tassies breathing space. In the final quarter, Eagles fought hard and got within 3 points, but Tassies held on to claim victory. Tasmans now turn their attention to second on the ladder Waybacks next weekend. In the other match, it was another disappointing day for Boston, thumped by Wayback to the tune of 77 points. Moving up to Whyalla, and Centrals overcame North 77-28. The Roos edged past Waroona Bay, and West defeated bottom place South Whyalla by 113 points. Moving to the SGL now, and Props Risdon had an impressive win over Central Augusta on Saturday. Luke Edwards had a spring in his step, booting 9 goals. Samuel Dyer also having a good game with 4 goals. In the other game, South had a 73-point win over West to cement their spot in second place position on the ladder. Over in the Northern Eastern Football League, North Clare recorded a narrow 10-point win over BSR, 47-37. RSMU defeated Minman, and a 4-goal-to-2 final quarter helped South Clare edge past Blythe Snowtown. And that's all for football this week. We'll be back tomorrow night with the soccer and netball results from across the region.
Stay with us after the break. I'll have the day's finance news, and Britt will join us with a look at the weather. Hello again, time now for a quick check of the day's finance. And the market started the week slightly down. Santos, BHP and Wesfarmers all fell by around 0.5%, while Regional Express dropped nearly 1%. Cube had a tough day, down nearly 2%, while Adelaide Brighton was one of the day's few bright notes, up by more than 5%. And the All Ords and the ASX 200 were both down by just over 0.5%. And time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Thanks, John, and good evening. 22 degrees was the region's high today, recorded at Woodna. Port Augusta and Whyalla both reached tops of 21 degrees. Looking at the map now, it reached a top of 19 degrees at Port Lincoln, Port Pirie and Kadina today, as well as Cleve. Broken Hill got to a top of 18, Adelaide 17. Taking a look now at today's satellite images, and we can see cloud clearing to the east with a weakening front causing showers and the odd storm. To our west, unstable westerly winds with a few showers. And to our north, mostly clear skies near a weak ridge. Now let's see what Tuesday has in store. There is a strong wind warning in place for the Spencer Gulf with northerly winds at 15 to 20 knots, seas up to 2 metres with south to southwesterly swells. Showers forecast for Port Lincoln tomorrow, looking at a high of 15 degrees. The same at Cleve, Woodna a possible shower with a top of 17. Partly cloudy at Whyalla tomorrow, looking at a top of 19 degrees. Port Augusta partly cloudy with a high of 20. Showers at Kadina tomorrow reaching 16. Port Pirie partly cloudy and 18 tomorrow. Clare a possible shower with a high of 13. Sunny at Broken Hill with a top of 18 degrees. Now let's take a quick look ahead to Wednesday. Showers and strong winds about the region. Port Augusta with a top of 18 degrees. Whyalla and Broken Hill both looking at 17. Woodna, Port Pirie and Kadina all 16. Port Lincoln a top of 15 degrees. Thursday, showers about the west coast, Lower Eyre Peninsula, Mid-North and York Peninsula districts. Fine and partly cloudy elsewhere with maximum temperatures sitting in the mid-teens. And finally now to Friday with showers forecast across the Spencer Gulf region. Fine and partly cloudy though at Broken Hill. And John, that is all for today's weather. And with that, it's back to you.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's the local news this Monday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.